Hey, it's Rick here, and welcome back to Humaning, a podcast where we talk to people about the imperfect art of being human. And today, our chat is with Barney Mercer. Barney is what is he? He's a breath worker, but he doesn't look or sound like a breath worker. So we have a really cool chat about how he got into breath work and his background. He's from the UK, and it's a really cool story about facing your own stuff and doing something about it. And now that he's done something about it, he's helping other people do something about it. So it's a really cool story, and I hope you enjoy it. Barney, how you going?
Well, thank you, sir.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the potty.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We don't have any structure, so we're just going to freestyle as always.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of structure. As you know.
Yeah, it's good. The one thing I do have is we chuck a check-in at the start, and I put it in there for us to check in, but also as a reminder for anyone listening that take this time to just think about what's happening for you right now, just a little bit of awareness. So tee us off, mate. What's going on for you physically, mentally, emotionally as we sit here?
Today's been a break from routine. I told you earlier I slept in this morning. I decided to. I felt like I needed it, so I didn't go to the gym. And then, so that sort of throws the routine off a little bit, but that was fine, which is cool. And yeah, just been a bit busy getting my daughter off to school, wife off to the city, and organising myself for you. So yeah, physically I'm alright. I feel pretty good. I had a sauna last night. Feel nice and covered, and yeah, slept pretty well. Pretty nice.
Because you've had a few back issues, haven't you? And that's starting to come good, yeah.
Yeah. It's a sort of lifetime merry-go-round that I've been on, and it's presented in a new way since January of this year. So that's been pretty interesting, and just trying to work through it, and I've sort of
What's interesting about it? Because I use that word sometimes to say, as a nice way to say fucked.
Well, at first it was that, it was oh god, here we go again. But then it was presenting in a different manner. So rather than the same old, the same pain, it was new pain. So therefore, as a sort of strength coach and someone who's super interested in this sort of stuff, it was actually quite fascinating, because rather than the pain being sort of acute in the one spot or shooting down my legs, it was going sideways across my back.
Yeah, right.
And like that real moment of shit, this is going to be real bad, like preparing myself to actually hit the floor.
Yeah.
And like it'd be as soon as it arrived, it had gone again. It's just like a lightning bolt straight across my lower back, and it's that sort of shit.
Yeah. Brace for impact.
And then it didn't happen, and I was like, oh, okay. And then it sort of manifested sort of across into my right hip. Then I smashed my knee, which then I got sick. So I was lying down for 5 days, and everything. So I find all this stuff rather because I've been doing it for so long now. It's interesting rather than super depressing.
Yeah.
Yes, it's depressing when it happens, but afterwards it's okay, cool. How am I going to fix it this time? Rather than
a little puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah, rather than relying on other people to help me. Yes, I do go to people, and yes, they do help me, but mostly it's sort of identifying it personally and figuring it all out. So, today I feel, I'm going to do a bit of sort of moving around, because sitting's kind of uncomfortable at the moment. But and I can still train. I can still do all my physical stuff that I like to do. So it's just a bit of a pain in the background,
Literally.
Mm.
Yeah. How are things mentally and emotionally?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Touch wood, as they say. But it's that Yeah, I've been on a upward curve at the moment since
Nice.
having the flu and that kind of knocking me sideways. Yeah, I'm in a pretty good space at the moment. Things seem to be working mentally. Um, I've not really done anything super different. Things are going well.
Yeah,
I'm
nice.
feeling good. I'm eating well. I'm training really well, despite the back thing. You know,
And then
um,
what emotions are attached to that upward curve?
I'm feeling pretty. It's weird. I was sitting in the car yesterday. I feel like there's more energy running through my body, and I was like more motivation and more sort of concentration, and I'm, dare I say it, happy.
Shit.
Yeah, it's that sort of. I was sitting in the car. I'd just been to the grocer, the vegetable people, and yeah, I was kind of remarking to myself, sort of like, shit, am I happy? Is this what this is?
Is this what this feeling is?
It was like I could feel it in my body as well, which is really cool.
Yep.
I was just like, I'm enjoying myself today. Today is a
Mm.
good day. The sun was out. I'd been doing some gardening with my shirt off. I got some sunshine on my body, and yeah, I was just remarking how this feels good. I like this, and then
Fuck
of
yeah.
course instantly my brain went, "When's the crash coming?"
Yeah, right. That's the bit I was thinking about. Like, we actually very rarely stop and go, "Oh, this feels good," you know?
Yeah. So it was cool yesterday, just driving around, thinking, yeah, it was, and then like it's interesting how the brain goes from I feel good to instantly like the ego kicks in and goes, fuck off, I've mastered this shit. It's like I'm winning, and I'm going to stay this way, and then the other part of your brain kicks in and goes, yeah, but there's a crash coming your way.
Yeah.
So yeah, but at the moment, yeah, I'm just sort of riding it and see what happens next, and I'm
Mm.
pretty interested.
It's funny when we have these, it's like old Buddhism stuff of attachment of I don't want to be in this state. I don't want to be suffering. And then we get to the other state of a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness.
Mm.
It's like, I don't want to leave this place.
Yeah,
It's like, can I grab it somewhere?
yeah.
Mm.
And equally at the same time is that sort of, I've got nothing to whinge about. No one will pay any attention to me.
Yeah.
Or there's an inkling of a little in the background of the head, sort of. Yeah, I mustn't be too openly happy, just in case someone sees and they get angry at me for being happier than them, or I make them feel bad for not being happy themselves, and all that sort of shit.
Yeah. It's a pretty big one for men, isn't it?
Mm, mm,
I know in Circle, we've had to put a rule in our little code. It's like, we want you to bring your wins as well as your challenges.
yeah.
Because often people hold their wins back because they don't want to rain on someone's, or not rain, but make someone feel bad if they're having a bad day.
Mm, yeah.
But it actually has the opposite effect.
Yeah. Or sound like you're showing off.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because I remember being that guy, like in a room where you go, oh yeah, good for you, well done, shut up.
Yeah.
But that's not their problem, that's my problem. So
And it's funny how we shape our stuff, our assumptions around how we judge others, that they're going to judge us the same way.
Yeah.
Because I do that all the time.
Yeah. That's it. Where you sit there
Cool. What a great fucking day to do a podcast then.
It is. There's good sun coming through the window as well, which is nice. Blue skies down here. I don't know what it's like for you lot, but
Yeah, no, it's pissing down rain here.
is it?
Yeah. So I'm in northern New South Wales. You're in Mornington Peninsula?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, yesterday was glorious sunshine. Today we've got the same, and probably tomorrow as well, I believe. So
we'll be there tomorrow. So we're coming down. Keep it going.
That's it. Come on for a cup of tea.
If I give you my version of that, yeah, it's not too far away, to be honest. Physically, been fucking looking after myself, and just sat down yesterday and put a bit of a plan together for what October looks like. A bit of programming, a bit of food, and a bit of other stuff, recovery stuff. So it kind of feels like I'm in the game, like I'm engaged, and it's just that side of life is just building. So yeah, physically feel.
October's a long way away as well.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So look at
September.
you being all organised and shit. So, yeah,
It's a good pickup. I actually did write October on the top of the thing.
yeah. Have you taken September off or something?
I'm just going to have a rest. So body's feeling good.
Mm.
Mentally, I'm a little bit distracted. Joe and I are coming down this weekend to do our in-person workshop with our crew down there, and the week before that is normally pretty heady around like what we're going to present and how we're going to do it. And so there's lots of like, I've got a whiteboard sitting behind the screen here, and there's all the plans and the ideas and that sort of stuff. So we're pretty much across the line with all that, but just little things that as we get closer to presenting on Friday night, take up a bit of headspace. So there's a little bit of that floating around. Yeah.
Actually, possibly maybe overthinking it a little bit as you build up towards it and all that. So what I do anyway.
Yeah, and I think that I've definitely in the past fallen into like over planning is my safety blanket. It makes me feel like I'm organized, but I normally, what happens is I'll end up using half of what I actually plan. So I've kind of especially this year in Circle, I've like deliberately underplanned to try and flex that muscle of like, what does it look like to not be fucking to the 10-minute mark every time?
I think I tried to do that, like plan stuff, write stuff down, have it all laid out, and it used to annoy me because I wouldn't get through it all. So I stopped planning altogether.
Yeah.
I underplan, like you said, or
So what?
it sort
So
of
that's
gives it.
me. And emotionally, I'm feeling pretty. What emotion am I feeling? I'm excited about. I've got a couple of podcasts today, so I'm pretty excited about a double podcast day. Just happy about that. So that's pretty much the emotion there.
Mm.
What do you do, man? What's all this stuff that you do? What are you doing right now in your working world?
Working well. Today, not a lot.
That's okay.
Which is nice. Not till later, anyway. Breathwork is my thing, but like it's so hard to explain. That's not a good enough word for it. I don't think it's sort of there's a broad spectrum of what I do between strength training, personal training, in the breathwork and mental health, and basically it's just about getting people to feel better about themselves.
So breathwork's one of the vehicles for that for you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is the breathwork. So I do big group sessions. And when I say big, they're not that big. They're sort of maximum of 20 people at a time.
Yeah, that's big enough.
To me, that's big. So I do the sort of group experience, and then I do stuff where we work on the physical side of it and the breath work at the same time. So it's like the big group stuff is one end of the spectrum, and then there's the other end of the spectrum, which is more of your sciencey type stuff and your sort of carbon dioxide tolerance levels.
Yep.
And function of breathing and anxiety, but then also function of breathing with performance, which leans into each other very beautifully as well. So it's kind of like a holistic approach to breathwork rather than just making people lie on the floor and cry a lot. It's more than that. Don't get me wrong, I love making people cry. It's great, but I also like making people cry in the gym, which is really, really interesting when people actually push themselves to the point where they can't hear the voices in their heads anymore that say you should stop this or how much longer is there left, and it just turns into one more rep, just keep going, and then until they physically can't do it anymore or anything like that, and all the way down to super simple stuff in the gym where we're changing the breath patterns to identify muscles and get them into a sympathetic state and fix imbalances and get the body working better. And it's really cool to see someone, this sounds weird, come into my gym who's super depressed and then get them start using their body and feeling their way into their body, and then all of a sudden you can see them start to come back to life
Yeah. Yep.
via movement.
Yep.
And it's, it's that. I mean, everyone knows exercise will make you feel better, but if you take it to another level or a different angle at it, and sort of really work on your body rather than just going to the gym and doing what you're told and running through the motions and that.
Yep.
Yes, it will help, but at some point it's going to plateau a bit. So if we can really sort of delve into learning the art, I suppose, of feeling in here,
Yeah.
be it physical or emotional or both at the same time, then everything changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you do go to the gym, be it a class, be it bodybuilding, Pilates, yoga, whatever the hell it is that you do for your exercise, be it, walking the dog, unloading the dishwasher, whatever, everything starts to feel better
Yeah.
and different and more purposeful.
Because I'm going to be honest, you don't look or sound or act like the average breath worker.
Yeah, that's the plan. I'll admit I tried that and it didn't work for me.
What did trying it look like? Because this makes me laugh a little bit.
I
What did trying to look like a breath worker? What did that look like? Like
Well, I don't
literally
want to. I don't want to.
take the
Cast
piss too much.
throw stones at other people who that does work for. So it was more of a case of I had to learn that I just need to be me in order to present what I need to present. So and I felt like that was the direction I was going in. So I went out and bought the fucking baggy pants, the Indian sort of trousers or whatever they were, and I genuinely felt comfortable in it. But yeah, I was kind of trying to be them and not me
Yep.
doing breath work. So I was trying to manifest myself into the people that I was watching in order to become a breath worker rather than just doing it my way and
Yeah,
doing
which
it.
makes sense when you start out,
Oh yeah, it's
It's like I'm
terrifying.
gonna use their stuff and put my spin on it and
Yeah, and you go away. I did my level 1 and I did my level 2 masters or whatever you want to call it. But you go away, and each one of them is 5 days up in the mountains after however many months of online training.
Yep.
And then you're in amongst, and I'm a tradesman, 25 years in, and I'm sitting in a room full of healers, of all varieties, shapes, and forms, shit I've never heard of before as well. I'm like, wow,
Yep.
what is that? What do you do? How on earth are you making money doing that? So it was, and I just felt completely out of place. So my, I suppose, default was to, okay, try and be them. If
Makes
that's
sense.
if that's what healers look like, and if that's what people who do this work look like, then okay, I'll go do that, or
Yep.
behave like that, or try and speak like that.
Yep.
And it didn't feel genuine to me. Yes, people were having a great experience, and it was working, and I was building towards something, and we were going somewhere, but it didn't sit with me.
Yeah.
So um, me in a t-shirt and a pair of shorts is what you're going to get. And it's got nothing to do with the clothes whatsoever, obviously, but
Yeah.
at the same time now, nothing makes me more excited than setting up fairy lights and fake candles in a dark room,
Getting the environment right.
and like if you'd said that to me 6 years ago, I was like, it's like Christmas Eve for me. I'm like tiptoeing around the room, putting
Yeah.
fairy lights around the place, like giggling to myself. It doesn't
I
feel
do feel you in a weird way because we convert our double car garage carport into our men's circle space, and there's rugs and curtains and fairy lights and a
yeah.
fucking metho fire and like I dig it.
Yeah, it's all about creating the space, and it's the excitement that I know people are going to come in and enjoy that
Yeah.
space that I've created.
Yeah.
Whilst the beauty of it is kind of yin yang, if you wish, because then they meet me at the door, and a couple of people have actually taken a step backwards. Like, oh,
Yeah.
And then I walk them to the room after greeting them, and obviously, and when I ask them my questions as we go, just to sort of check in and see how they are, and then they see the room that I have prepared for them. This thing has prepared, and there's fairy lights and candles and blankets and shit everywhere, and crystal bowls, and and then they immediately get that sense of peace and excuse me, safety.
Yeah, right.
Then they sit down next to someone they've not met before and feel comfortable enough to say hi.
Yep.
Without me actually prompting them. So it's that sort of being greeted by a 6-foot bald tattooed guy with a beard that it's normally sort of down here as well, and be presented with someone like myself, and then sort of gently brought into a very peaceful place, whilst I'm still being me, rather than trying to pretend to be some sort of spiritual guru. No, I'm still a 6-foot
Still
guy
Barney.
who goes to the gym and has recently retired from being a tradesman and all that sort of shit. So and they love it, and it's great. And then I sit down at the front and we talk, and I crack jokes and make fun of the process we're going to go through, and all the experiences that I've had with it, whilst being genuinely vulnerable and all those sorts of things.
Well, that's the bit that I'm interested in. Is like, how did you actually swing into this world? How did you get to the breathwork world?
Well, there's two stories I tell.
I want a story that you've never told anyone. I want the version that no one knows.
I don't know if I can. I'm trying to find one that no one knows, but it's just real quick. The first one is the work. So I was already in breathwork in the gym, and then it led me to breathwork lying on the floor.
Yep.
Someone recently asked me, and they were really nervous before a session. Like I could see it. They were literally shaking. They were going through a really hard time in life, and he said, "Man, what made you come to one of these?" And no one had ever asked me that before. And I literally just sat there, and it was in front of the whole room, 15 people in the room. I said, "Well, I was broken. I felt broken. Sorry, no, I wasn't. I wasn't broken, but I felt that I was at a point where I had to just do something."
Yep.
So rewind a bit. Life was being life. Babies, kids, growing up, owning businesses, having businesses just destroy me. At one point I was making more money than I've ever made in my life and still not paying the mortgage.
Yep.
And everything was everything was stupid hard, and something just sort of went in my mind or my brain or whatever, and I slipped into that freeze state. Basically, I went so far past fight and flight that I was just freeze. I was depressed, anxious, drinking too much. I have a drinking problem, and I was drinking too much. And for someone who has a drinking problem,
Yeah.
So
How long did that go on for before that got back into the?
before I got to breathwork, that was at least 10 years.
Yeah,
Before
right.
I found out about what a freeze state is. My daughter would have been. She's 14 now, so she would have been like 3 years old, whatever, when that all began. And I had a history of anxiety since I was a kid.
Yep.
And it got super bad when I was in my early 20s. And as a young Englishman who's a ex-rugby player, tree climber by trade, or just the person I was, and the way I was brought up, it was like, well, I'm not telling anyone about that, because that sounds like the sort of thing a girl might go through. Sorry, girls, but that's the way I was brought up.
Yep.
Not brought up, but that's the environment I was in. So I didn't know how to talk to anyone. I didn't know how to let it out, and I didn't know how to communicate anything. So I
you just soldiered on, yeah.
Yeah, and it was that man thing. It was that I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders. Oh, okay, I'll just figure it out tomorrow. I'll just I'll just get up and I'll keep going. I'll get up and I'll keep going.
Yep.
And literally that was it. It was like the only reason I actually got out of bed in the morning was because I had responsibilities, and I had like a good programming from a very young age that if you got responsibilities, you do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I got up, I went to work, and I hated every minute of it. And I got up, I went to work, and I hated every minute of it. And as soon as Friday rolled around, I was in the fridge, drinking.
So what was the tipping point from that pattern to doing something different, like stepping into a breathwork class? Like,
It was, it was really, really weird. I've always been like I said, an ex-rugby player, so I've always been in the gym. So that was kind of my balance. It's like I can drink myself to sleep every night, not every night, when I'm not working night,
yep.
as long as I go to the gym. And so then I became a personal trainer, all those sorts of things. Then I'm starting to learn about breathing at the gym and the mind muscle connection stuff and the nose breathing only at the gym with very little explanation. They just said, breathe through your nose through this workout, and then next time you do it, when you breathe through your mouth, you'll be better.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay. Why? How? So I was kind of leaning, and I was getting really super frustrated with, 2 steps forward, 8 steps back. Like every Monday, sitting on the floor of the gym, and I was like crazy CrossFitter at the time, and I was competing in Olympic lifting, headed towards nationals and all that sort of shit. And I'd be sitting on the floor on a Monday, just feeling hungover and just like something's not right here. I was getting frustrated that I wasn't getting anywhere,
Yep.
and I knew that I was in trouble emotionally. And the next thing I know, I thought, well, the beauty of fucking social media, the algorithm spat out a sound healing session with a bloke that I'd heard of.
Yeah.
In person, like he was from Perth. And I just booked it. I have no idea why. I went by myself. I didn't tell anyone I was going other than my wife. And, I felt super embarrassed that I was even going to this thing. And it kind of like, and then you turn up and like look around and say, all these crazy people. And yeah, it was cool. It was really, really cool. Like I was
What did you
floating.
get from that class?
It was just that sort of hour and a half. Like there were 100 people in the room. It was up at
Yeah. Right.
Abbotsford Convent, and the floor was vibrating. Like my whole body was doing different things, and it was just the peace. It was the peace and the quiet, and
Yep.
the switch off. So then, that kind of, and I just felt like I needed to do something, and then a mate of mine came over with a new boyfriend, and he's Irish, and my little brain went, "Go on in, let's go." So before he arrived, I drank half a slab, I think it was, and then he arrived with a slab and a bottle of whiskey, and we ploughed through that,
Yep.
and that was the last time I ever drank. And then, I was talking with my myotherapist. I was getting a massage, and she just said, "There's a 2 doors down." I knew the people that ran it. It was like a psychotherapy counselling joint,
Yep.
and they said, they've got a lady coming down to do breath work. Why don't you have a
Cool.
crack at that? Because I've been talking about all the breathing stuff we're doing in the gym, and the stuff I was doing in the gym taught me what fight and flight, flow, and freeze was. And
Yep.
I realized I was in this freeze state, and it was like someone had kicked me in the nuts. And it took me a long time to come to terms with the fact that I've been in this weird freeze state for so long. And then, all the things go off in your head that go, oh, you fucked up, or all the things that you missed out on because you were walking around like a bloody zombie, and all the business opportunities that I just walked past because,
Yep.
that sounds like a great idea, but it's just not me right now. I can't do that.
Yep.
So,
And
yeah.
just pause there for a sec. In that state, like what was the impact or the consequences of that in your relationships, like the wife, the kids, workmates? Like, what sort of human were you to be around?
Oh, I thought I was doing all right. I thought I was hiding it well, and I
Okay.
wasn't at all. But throughout all this, I was in like the worst chronic pain I've been in a long time. Like this is when the scoliosis, and the disc bulges that I've had all my life suddenly became a bit of a problem. and it was burring down the back of my legs. I couldn't feel my feet. It felt like there were insects crawling up my legs all the time. All sorts of weird stuff was going on. I was in so much pain. So I was thinking that I was being some sort of hero and hiding it well. And, it turns out no one said anything to me, that people were walking around on eggshells around me. It's like, which version of Barney are we getting today?
When did you find that out?
After.
Yeah. How did that land for you?
Again, it's like a kick in the nuts. It was just that, oh, really? And the look on my wife's face while she was telling me it, I can still see it in my mind. I just, what have I done?
Yeah.
But I thought I was doing well.
Yeah.
And I was doing everything I could physically to fix my back, and eventually I found the right people to help me, and I did. For a long time I was 98% pain free.
Yeah.
So I wasn't making good decisions. I was speaking from my childhood a lot to my children, so that I would find myself saying things that were said to me that I didn't like at the time. And because I was now the parent figure, and from my experience, that wasn't just my parents, that was all the people at boarding school. I found myself saying those things to my children in the manner that it was said to me, even though I hated it at the time.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That fucking
And
hurts, doesn't it?
then it took me a while to realize that I was being everything that I didn't like as a child.
Yeah. Can I just pause you there? Because there's a lot going on here, isn't there? Because there's
It was a simple question, and I've gone like,
no, but it's true, and I think it's important to just bring it back a little bit, because there's this is pretty common with men, is the provider. I have to be responsible. I have to push through. So that's the first priority. Okay, what have I got to do that? I've got to manage how I'm feeling, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally. How do I manage that? Often it's not by talking about it, it's by numbing it or drinking it or distracting it, or, we all work out our ways, and I've had mine in the past, of how we manage without actually managing it.
Yeah.
And then you've got the physical on top of that. And then you've got the part of you that's realizing that you're showing up as some of your previous figures have showed up that you really didn't like.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole collection of, like you say, it's like a kick in the nuts. It's like a fucking collective bag of kicks.
Yeah. It's like when you realize that you've turned into the demon that you were hiding from as a child.
Yeah. And I say it out. I pause on it because it's so fucking common for parents to look back and be like, oh, I tried really hard to not do that, and I did it. I had my version of that as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's a real come to Jesus moment. Sorry if you're religious, anyone, but it's just it's that real reality of life, the conscious meeting the unconscious.
Yeah. It's taken me a long time to come to terms with as well, to forgive myself for behaving in that manner. I'm not totally convinced I have yet either. I'm on my way, but
what does forgiveness look like for you?
Not feeling like a piece of shit because I said things that I said. I didn't do anything, I don't think. It was mostly verbal, so it was just the way I behaved, the way I reacted like a toddler to my children, and just being not me, totally the opposite of me, which was a catalyst for all of us, the quitting the drinking, the moving into a more, dare I say, a spiritual sort of life. That was it. It was that realization of, oh, hang on a minute, I'm that guy.
Yeah. It's super interesting because,
And
like, this weekend down in Melbourne, when our theme is on the Saturday is being your own best friend,
mm,
which is kind of what we see as the opposite of being the critical, harsh one, you know. And some of the things that you've mentioned today fit into this because the factors for that are like, can I forgive myself? Is
mm,
one, and then can I trust myself? Do I have self trust moving forward?
yeah,
And they're massive pillars, you know.
mm,
Because if neither of them are there, or if they're not slowly becoming there, it's fucking heavy lifting.
mm. Yeah, yeah. It's not something I've spoken of really, or talk. And even at the time, I didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
With anyone. I always found that hard.
How is it now talking about it?
Heavy shit. Right now,
Yeah.
um, it's kind of killed my buzz a bit. You know what I mean? Um, no, I don't mind it because, like I said, I always say I'll talk to you about anything except for what's going on for me right now. So it's obviously not heavy with me right now. It's
Yeah.
just because I can talk about it with you. Obviously, I trust you, but yeah, it's it's part of the process for me. Is now is verbalizing and saying, yeah,
Yeah.
I did it. I did that, and yeah, it makes me sad, and yeah, I'm sorry about it, and all that sort of stuff, and I've changed like totally. Every time I could feel myself going to say those words or phrases, or that's what happened to me as a child, so it needs to happen to you as a child. Nah, stop it there.
Yeah.
Backtrack and change your tone.
Because
And
that's the action that
I
matters,
haven't
isn't
had
it?
to actually think like that for years and years now.
Mm.
Years. Like it doesn't even occur to me that I'm in the wrong space because I just don't go there anymore.
Yeah. Because it's one thing to notice it and be like, fuck. And then it's like can I forgive myself? That's one thing, but it's a whole nother thing to do it differently.
Mm.
You know, because like you said, you
Yeah.
gotta
And
catch that.
yeah, I full credit to my wife because she called me out on it multiple times.
The strength of an honest woman.
Yeah, but still, I was like, it was literally okay, and that was the end of the conversation
Yep.
because I still couldn't bring myself to talk about it
Yeah. Yep.
because it was that realization of, oh no, I'm I'm here and I'm hearing these words and we're in this situation, and it was just a case of okay, agree and walk away and try and figure it out.
Yep.
Don't agree and actually talk about it. Agree, walk away, figure it out for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
yeah.
that's where leaning into all the things that I've worked on or worked with over the last however many years it's been, has really helped me because
Yep.
I'm not a talker. If it's raw, I've got to figure it out.
Yep.
Then
Yep.
I'll tell you about it.
Yep.
But until that time, so back in those days, that was what was raw for me, and it had been since I was a kid, and so
I actually think this is a really good example of like healthy shame
yeah,
because there's some shame in there around not wanting to repeat the pattern
mm,
or realizing that you potentially were unconsciously.
yeah,
And because of not wanting to feel that shame, you worked hard on catching it and doing it differently. And I think that's the function of healthy shame.
mm,
You know,
yeah,
it's like, oh, I've done something that I don't want to be doing. Like I've done a behavior that I'm not fucking proud of. What am I going to do about that?
mm. But I find it interesting that I couldn't. If I'd spoken about it in the moment, we would have got there faster.
Yeah, hypotheticals are fucking
Yeah, all
challenging
that shit.
though.
But yeah, but I did it. that's the only way I knew how to. It was a
Yeah.
case of receive the information that's being relayed back to you, think about it obsessively over and over again, and then find a way to not be that, And
Yeah, I think that's pretty common with men. Of just like, I just need to sort this out in my head before I action anything or I speak to anyone. Like that's just a pretty common
Mm,
as we start to get better with the whole awareness thing and all of
yeah.
that.
Mm.
Where just one last question and then we'll move on. Where are you at in your spectrum of forgiveness, I guess, for that part of you?
Um, I think I'm nearly there, I'd say.
Cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's a thing of the past that I don't even recognize anymore.
Yep.
So it just pops up every now and again, and I just remember it.
Yeah.
Move through it, move past it.
Yep.
It is what it is, and it's the same as like dwelling on my own part. Well, it is part of my past, but it's also intermingled with other people. So if it's only stuff that relates to me, then I would move through that and see it from a different angle, understand it.
Yeah.
I was with the state that I was in at the time. That was the best that I could do.
Full stop.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And then the best that I could do changed because it wasn't, or it was pointed out to me that I wasn't doing it quite as good as I could have been, or whatever the circumstances were. It was a case of the goalpost shifted and the realization came, and okay, now I'm going to do the best that I can do with this new information, and then evolve from that. So the forgiveness part comes because I had the ability to observe, recognize, and evolve.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then, go do the personal work to understand how I got there, what was going on for me at the time that meant that was happening, and then move through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the bit that I'm thinking about is it's played a massive role. Like that experience has played a massive role on the human that you are today.
Mm.
And that's kind of the gift. Like if we look back, like because I think part of acceptance is forgiveness.
Yeah.
And if we look back at the gifts that experience gave you, it gave you that feeling of fuck, I'm doing what they did.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that guy.
Mm.
And having worked with you a little bit and hung out a little bit, I actually have a bit of an inside running of the work that you do now is that you get to be the person that you wanted back then.
Yeah.
What a fucking gift.
Yeah. It's been a hard gift to accept as well.
Yeah.
But just leaning back into the forgiveness side of things, I think the only part is like you mentioned how it affected me. Probably the last piece of the puzzle is observing how it's affected them and how they have turned out because of my actions or words or whatever.
Actions in regards to since then or from that part?
From them. But also since then trying to be the best that I can be and be the best role model and example and father figure and husband and all the rest of it. So is that that's the bit that's like the question that pops into my head is how did you influence them?
What's
How did
the
that
impact?
time it wasn't massive space of time, but how did that short space of time influence their lives to now?
Yeah.
Can they remember it?
Yeah.
It's that, because certain people from boarding school influenced my life enormously.
Yep.
And I can still see them in my mind's eye. I can still hear their words, and I can pinpoint exactly what went on and what happened. Nothing super weird or anything like that, but it was unpleasant. So what imprint have I, long-lasting imprint have I left
Yep.
on other people, or my kids, my wife, and then people I work with as well. That maybe I was being a bit of an asshole to as well, So,
Is this a
but,
conversation you've had with them?
no, no, of course not. But it's close.
Yeah. Because there's assumptions being made about impact.
Mm.
And it's like, maybe that's a question rather than a statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh?
Yeah. Then my mind jumps into sort of, what am I running the risk of? I think
Yeah, which is a valid risk.
that's stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, it's actually really true, because if it's, if the unfinished business is not showing up in the present, do we need to go back?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think from my own experience with unearthing the past, I think sometimes it's not a good thing to do.
I definitely think there's a time and a place for it,
Yeah.
but not as a. I don't think it's it has to be done. Like, this is the path to get to you moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think
Absolutely.
in both our worlds, we have a little bit of that experience of the trauma hunters.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I personally, I feel like I got a bit lost in healing my past. I got stuck in a loop with that, I think. I did great things. I did wonderful things for myself, and then it kind of plateaued a bit in. I just got stuck thinking about what went on.
Yep.
And
As in what in the past.
yeah,
Yeah.
and putting sadness on it from a 47-year-old's perspective, rather than what I was going through at the time. And we spoke about this yesterday. It was just like, and now it's a case of look at it as in a manner, and this is how my sort of breathwork experience began. It was a case of sit to one side of it, and rather than looking like at your inner child and having a bit of a cry and going, "You poor bugger," give him a hug, high five the little fella, and go, "Nice work, mate.
Yep.
Fucking great job.
Well
Proud
done,
of you.
fucking you, for
Proud of
getting
you."
us through that. Yeah.
Because a lot of the sort of, you know, uh, healing work that I've done has always been led into, now lean into your inner child and give them a hug and show them some love. And that there's nothing wrong with that. There's, but the way I perceived it was, that's a sad thing.
Yep.
It was always sad. Oh, you poor little bugger. And I had to really remind myself of all the fun. I had so much fun as a kid, even in the boarding schools and that. And,
Yep.
there was always good people around, and there was always fun to be had, and it was not that sort of bad. So now that it's like, you look back and go, yeah, good for you, mate. You really, and this is how I can sort of relate back to what we were just talking about. It's like, you did the best that you could with what you had. So high five to you for sticking it out and get on with it.
Yeah.
Like, gold medal.
You got
Sweet.
elite level coping skills. Well done.
You didn't do it brilliantly, but you did it as brilliantly as you possibly could. And yeah, it's more of a celebration than a cry and a hug.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, because I think the self-acceptance part is a pretty important piece, and self-acceptance is pretty easy for the good bits, but when there's these challenging parts that we may have, there may be some shame associated. It's a tough gig often to be like, yeah, I welcome that part in.
Yeah.
So I think this language, it's nearly like celebration, high-fiving, playful,
Absolutely.
like
it really started to change, like, my mood on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And recently I travelled back to England to be with my father as he went through some surgery. And just being there was so clearing for me. and like going
Mm.
back to all the places where my life happened, not where the things happened, but just where my life happened
Yep.
as a kid, and not there on holiday, not there with my wife and children. So there was no one to protect. There was no one to make sure they were having a good time in my land. It was go there and just be. And the sun was out. It was spring. Everything was beautifully green. And it was just like, oh, okay. This is not how I remember it. I'd created this darkness in my head,
Yeah.
this dark cloud of England, which I'll always admit, I ran away. How did you end up in Australia? I ran away.
Yep.
Totally, 100%. Put my hands up and ran twice, and yeah, it was so clearing for me. Not only just to be around the old man and care for him and be just hang out with him, but
Yep.
just being in that childhood land of mine that I left as a 21-year-old or whatever it was.
Yep.
It was, and I came back and it was just like, I don't need to think about that anymore. So, and then of course it was like, I can't believe I've been thinking about that for 20 years. But now I don't have to think about it, and it changed the way my brain works, and that's where thinking about me as a child and all that sort of thing was like, no man, that was cool. High
Yep.
five to him.
Yep.
High five to me. It worked. It went well. It was shit, but so there were times where, but that's life. Everyone goes through that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, swinging back to what we were actually talking about, I think sometimes all this trauma work can actually lead you down a path that you don't want to go.
Yeah.
That is, sorry, not that you don't want to go, but that isn't there.
Yeah.
You know?
'Cause the make believeness of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, to an extent healing, but more finding a better way, moving into a better sense of self, a better sense of who am I and who have I evolved into
Yeah.
because of those things
Yeah.
that I survived, that I went through, that I did really well at. Some
Yeah.
things I was really good at, some things I wasn't so great at, some things could have been better, but it's who am I evolving into as a person right
Yeah.
now because of my experiences. And I felt like I ended up in a place where I was constantly sad about what could have been.
Yeah. 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 I actually think there's a couple of things on this because it's pretty interesting. One is that often our sensitivities turn into our superpowers.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of that's like the benefit of the gift that we get that we may not see as a gift turns
Yeah.
into our superpower.
Mm.
The other thing is whether it's in groups or whether it's in online programs, there's nearly a badge of honor to trauma hunt, to be like, oh, this is the reason. There's suspicion rather than care.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes you can go in and go, oh yeah, I didn't get that, and therefore this is the way I am. And it's nearly like you need to put that, okay, that's my thing. Okay, cool.
Mm. Yeah.
And I feel like it's been influenced by the overuse of the word trauma. And I'm fully respecting complex trauma and all of that in there, but I think this is more like lowercase t trauma,
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, for me, it was like I started doing the work to lose my badges of honor,
Yeah.
and then I picked up some new ones.
Yeah. What were the new badges you picked up?
It was, I opened up a whole book about my time at school.
Mm.
I went there trying to get rid of the drinking and the freeze state that I was in and the depression and the anxiety. So I went to with real sort of things, and I came away kind of having worked on all those things. I came away a much better person. Don't get me wrong, everything was great, but in the back of my head there was just this picture of this little boy sitting on a bed on day one of boarding school that just got trapped in my mind.
Yep.
Or that feeling that we used to get, and I say we because I know full well it wasn't just me, that in the lead up, the last week of the school holidays, there was this feeling here,
Yep.
that sort of sense of doom, and you kind of dredged all that shit up. And yeah, it was then that became, oh, my badge came back again.
Right.
Whereas before it was just, yeah, I went to boarding school.
Yep.
And then it was, oh, actually, hang on, that's not right. It's not right to spend. And like my kids were young. My youngest was young at the time, so it was like, oh, imagine sending her away.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was, um, yeah, it just kind of sat as that's not a normal thing to do, to send your children away and only see them for less than 24 hours every 2 weeks. That's kind of, and I overthought it, and I was like, yeah, obviously I needed to deal with it, and I needed to sort of process it, but it wasn't something that was influencing my life until I actually thought about it or brought it back up again.
Yep.
And it kind of, I didn't talk of it. It wasn't like I was, searching for who was responsible or any shit like that. But it was just there.
So has your relationship with that part of you changed now as we sit here today?
Yeah. Mm.
In what way?
I don't think of it half as much as I was, or even anyway.
So it's not popping up in the present as much as it used to.
No, 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 no. And if it does, it's just I just remind myself, it's like, yeah, cool, you did well.
Yep.
I wasn't the best student, but I was pretty good at some of the things that I was good at. It annoys me that the way the school system was set up was, it was, a constant could do better, rather than
Well done.
isn't he doing well at sport
Yep.
and the crafty stuff and all that other shit. It was just he could do better at Latin. Like, great.
Yeah.
But it was, now it all pops into my head, and there's, it was still fun. There were still good times there.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. It took me a long time to learn how to miss people, to figure out certain emotions, to understand myself. We were taught to hold everything in. Don't be
Yeah.
loud, don't be sad, don't be happy, don't be anything. It was, so, all of this has been sort of trying to understand myself better since, but it is,
Yeah, it's cool, and I think
and like,
what
it's a
sorry.
unique experience that other people didn't get as well. So,
Yeah, and I'm just curious around how your experience back then and how you've worked with those parts and the path that you've been on, how does that shape what you provide for people? Like, what's the impact of all that in regards to what you give people that come to whether they're your breathwork classes or one-on-one or, your retreat stuff, anything?
I think it's just to be open and friendly, and just be there for them.
Yep.
Be there to hear them, be there to guide them through the experience that I'm going to take them through, in the way that I would like to be guided, and just make sure everyone's safe and looked after. But at the same time, particularly with the young men I work with, or just young people in general, it's just like, just be nice, be the person that I could have done with at the time.
Yeah.
Some
What a
sort of guy.
fucking North Star to have.
But and whilst at the same time not being the be all and end all of everything, and just saying, look, I'm just here. I'm just
Yeah.
here. Just let's figure some shit out. And like, that's kind of like the way I run my group sessions is, you'll get what you need right now. Whatever it is you need right at this moment is what you're going to get this evening. So,
Yep.
like, when on Sunday when I run my session, no, Thursday I've got one, 2 days tomorrow, men's group. It'll be a case of, like, what's going on for you right now, and how can we lean into that?
Yep.
Or what do you need right now in order to lean into that, so that when you leave here, you can then lean into the things that you need, or just you'll just be better at understanding those things, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You'll get what you know. If you turn up wanting stuff, you'll get distracted by that.
Yep.
You know, like when my father first got sick, I was like, cool, I'm going to go to breathwork and figure out how I feel about my dad and his illness. And I got none of that. I got nothing like it, but I got all the things that sort of cleared the space in order to then think about it properly.
Yep.
So if I can provide that space where people can take a moment out of their busy lives, out of the monkey mind, and just clear some gunk out, or feel like they can understand themselves a little bit better on their way
Yeah.
towards where they're going. You know, I'm just taking that moment to break everything and just stop everything and go, cool, just dip into your mind or dip into your body, let yourself shake, vibrate, cry, laugh, sing, shout, whatever you need to let out of you right now that's going to clear the way in order for you to take a step towards where you're going, then great.
And this is the bit where, sorry to interrupt, but there's a piece in here that I want to jump on.
I could tell by the way you were grinning. Yeah.
I've got a client who's like, "You're fucking smiling again. Stop smiling." Like Joe, our program in Melbourne's called Making Space.
Mm.
And the whole premise is that we trust that you know the way forward, or it will present itself, but your role is to make space for that to happen. And what does that look like? And I feel like there's some real similarities with what you're talking about here.
Mm.
It's like a deep trust in the person that they're the expert in their own lives.
Mm.
And we're advocating for them to create the space that they need in order to find the solutions that they have.
It's almost like pressing pause on the video play.
Yeah.
Let's pause some shit here now, make a gap, and let's just sit in this gap for a bit, and then let's try and figure it out. And like, it's everyone's always, oh, thank you, that was such a great session, thank you. I got so much out of it. I was like, don't thank me. I just booked the room, man.
Yeah.
Like,
but I think underneath this,
you do the work. I point you in the right direction. I give you a little shove. You do the work, and it's about getting that opportunity to lie on the floor, do something that you wouldn't normally do in a guided manner, and give yourself that opportunity to take a step in the right direction, or figure out, create the space, like you said, just like clear some shit out. And
I think that's what I appreciate about you is that you're not going around claiming everyone else's success.
No.
You're just guiding them there.
No. Like people ask me on these things, the podcast and that, like, oh, can you tell us about someone's great success? I was like, no, I can't, because
it's not mine to talk about.
It's not my story to share, but it's up to them whether it was a great success, not me. For me, it was a great success because they were smiling when they walked out the door.
Yeah, fully.
And
I still think underneath this, sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, keep going.
Just this idea of like when we feel like something's wrong or there's a challenge, like the pull to move towards something to fix it, to resolve it, to make it better, to solve it. But often the step before that is just to fucking stop and create some space and be with the feeling of uncomfortableness that's there around not having that thing solved. And I think if you're listening and you want to take one thing from today, I think that would be a really fucking handy thing to take, is like when you're noticing the reaching for the fixing and the rescuing and the advice and all of that stuff, can you just pump the brakes and be like, all right, how can I make a bit of space here?
Absolutely.
So what does your work look like? Like how can people get a little bit of Barney?
Just ask, man.
Shorts and all.
That's it, man. Yeah, well, the bulk of my work is the group sessions. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, tomorrow I've got a men's group going on in the morning in Mount Martha. I run a Friday session and a Sunday session in Mornington.
Yep.
That's potentially going to be twice a month. It's currently once a month of each at the moment. They're different sessions. The Sunday is a holotropic mouth breathing session. The Friday is a fully guided nose breathing, nose mouth sort of scenario with some breath holds. And
Yep.
they go to the same place, but it's a different journey.
Yep.
And yeah, my gym is private. It's in my garage at home. It's fully furnished with everything that I require
Yep.
to work with people. And yeah, so it's there's a website. There's obviously Instagram and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
we'll stick your links in the notes and all that stuff. But
yeah, I mean, I announce most things on Instagram because that then feeds it onto Facebook, which I don't really look at. Neither does anyone else, apparently. um, some guy's trying to get me to do emails at the moment,
yeah,
which I'm going to be figuring out in the coming days. But yeah, it's if in doubt, reach out. That's it's simple as it gets. If you're curious about breathwork or anything that I do, it's a case of message me and we'll have a conversation.
yeah. Even a
I'm
question of
always,
anything that popped up today in the podcast, like stick
absolutely,
Barney.
yeah, absolutely. Just hit me an email or phone me or whatever, and I'm always happy to get an initial conversation going with anyone.
Cool. One thing I like to ask before we wrap up is, what's the thing that's exciting you most at the moment? Like that's like, fuck yeah, I want to put energy into that. Like I'm pulled to it.
Just the work I'm doing, yeah, the future of what I'm doing.
Yep.
Yeah, because I've stepped away from my former career as a tree climber, and now this is all I have to do, along with all the rest of life stuff.
Responsibilities. Yeah.
But from a work point of view, I'm excited about where this is going. What's coming next? I've got plans for like a early morning session that isn't an emotional release type of thing.
Yep.
There's talk I want to lean into, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day events.
Yep.
I'm excited for me, but I'm also excited for the work that can be done.
Yeah.
And at the same time, staying, dare I say it, grounded. But staying in my box and not getting too far ahead of myself, or not letting my ego take over and wanting to be one of the most sought after facilitators in Australia or any shit like that. It's how many people can I help here and now? And that's exciting to me. And at the same time, that is going to develop me further. And I'm, constantly learning, constantly looking at new things and trying things out. And what can we do with this? Where's this going? And yeah, it's exciting.
And I think in that there's like a respect for the process. It's like, it's some things you just can't rush. Like I know for you, there's an intention to do those longer day stuff, but it's like, what's the process and the experiences and the connections and all the things that lead to that thing unfolding in the right way,
That's it. I mean, it's been really interesting to me how this has gone, because it went from, I'm going to go learn a thing up in the mountains with some people purely so I can get better at being me. I had no intention of teaching this stuff. And I came away with, yeah, okay, cool. Let's share this around a bit. But also there was an underlying guilt that I don't have anymore, that I've worked through, that I spent all this money on a thing that's going to produce nothing. So then I was, all right, now I need to pay that money back into my bank account, which was kind of a cool little driver. And this whole thing it's trial and error. Like the first session I did was in my garage on the floor, and everyone was like, "Wow, that was amazing!" And I was like, "Was it?"
There wasn't any fairy lights.
And I was like, "Yeah, there were no fairy lights. There was like dumbbells and kettlebells right by their heads and shit." And I'm like, yeah, it could have been better. So, and every, that's where I'm at right now. I'm at another little sort of breakaway of what I was doing and turning it into what's going to happen next. And it's that constant learning and evolving and understanding how can I do this?
Yep.
Not, I don't know, better, differently. How can we get this to refine this and then take it? Because I've tried to organize retreats and stuff in the past, but I got too ahead of myself and too excited about it, and
Yeah.
then self-sabotaged and self-doubt, and it was just horrible. So when it does come around, and I think it's going to be next year, I'm really I'm really excited about that as well. And that's beginning in the last sort of 2 weeks. I'm like, yeah, cool, okay, I get it now. I understand that if I run a retreat, I can't do it by myself, so I've got to choose the people who are going to just do my thing.
Yep.
Or,
you just work to your
or
strengths.
bring something to it that I need, rather than accepting people in purely because they have something that they can offer that doesn't necessarily align with what I'm trying to do.
Yep.
Yes, I fully respect their thing, and you probably go to them as a facilitator, and I do their sessions or whatever, but I don't necessarily want it at my retreat. So
Yeah.
I've got to
Totally.
lean into exactly what it is that I'm trying to achieve and move through that.
I think that's part of the evolution of running your own business and getting
Yeah,
faith in what you deliver and not needing to be too
yeah.
reliant. One thing I want to
It's
finish on, for anyone out there that's like has been a bit on the fence about breathwork, but's been interested but a bit not fearful, maybe even a bit scared of the fucking naffness of it sometimes. Barney's your man. So
yeah,
get
yeah,
in if you're in Melbourne, get in person. If he's going to start doing some online stuff, like
yeah.
it's
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate the way that you bring it, and I appreciate the willingness to dig in a little bit today. We didn't really know where we were going, but we got somewhere.
Let me talk about breathwork, so that's cool. That's been the first one I've not actually had to talk too much about that, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you just said, if you're sitting on the fence with it, just get in touch and we'll talk about it. Like I had a guy, I had a guy the other day just say, "Look, I reckon I'm coming on Thursday. I'm super nervous about it." I was like, "Don't be nervous about it." And like people say to me all the time, "I'm scared of what might come out." I was like, "Well, imagine what it's doing to you by holding it in."
Yeah.
And my very first experience was I couldn't I couldn't not let it out. So and then once I'd done it, I felt amazing. So it's a highly worth, if you're already thinking about it, it's highly worth just having a crack.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, man. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me, sir. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been fun. All right. Cheers, bun.
Take care.